All right, today we're going to read chapter 8. Now, a little flashback to chapter 7. That was a chapter where we learned the whole story about how the Tucks started their everlasting life. Okay, it talked about the spring and how they drank it, and then their experience to discover that they could not die. All the crazy things that happened to them, and they just kept on living, and how Angus Tuck really proved the point that they could not die. Okay, and so at the end, Jessie says, well, I'll be 17 until the end of the world. So Winnie has just taken all of this in. So I'm sure she's feeling a little bit like she may be going crazy right now. She may only be 10, but I'm sure this is like a whirlwind to her to find out all this information because, you know, in our lives, that's something that we only hear about in fairy tales. So let's see what Winnie's reaction is to all this new information that she learned. And we're going to learn that in chapter 8. So page 22. Winnie did not believe in fairy tales. She had never longed for a magic wand, did not expect to marry a prince, and was scornful, most of the time, of her grandmother's elves. So now she sat, mouth open, wide-eyed, not knowing what to make of this extraordinary story. It couldn't, not a bit of it, be true, and yet it feels so fine to tell somebody, Jessie exploded. Just think, Winnie Foster, you're the only person in the world besides us who knows about it. Hold on now, said Miles cautiously. Maybe not. There might be a whole lot of others, for all we know, wandering around just like us. Maybe. But we don't know them. Jessie pointed out, we've never had anyone but us to talk to about it. Winnie, isn't that peculiar? Isn't it peculiar? And kind of wonderful? Just think of all the things we've seen in the world, all of the things we're going to see. That kind of talk will make her want to rush back and drink a gallon of the stuff, warned Miles. There's a whole lot more to it than Jessie Tuck's good times, you know. Oh, stuff, said Jessie with a shrug. We might as well enjoy it, long as we can't change it. You don't have to be such a parson all the time. I'm not being a parson, said Miles. I just think you ought to take it more serious. Now, boys, said May. She was kneeling by the stream, splashing her face and hands with cool water. Whew, such weather, she exclaimed, sitting back on her heels. She unfastened her brooch, took off her shawl, and toweled her dripping face. Well, child, she said to Winnie, standing up, now you share our secret. It's a big, dangerous secret. We gotta have your help to keep it. I expect you're full of questions, but we can't stay here no longer. She tied the shawl around her waist then and sighed. It pains me to think how your ma and pa will worry, and there's just no way around it. We gotta take you home with us. That's the plan. Tuck, he'll want to talk it out. Make sure you see why you can't tell no one. But we'll bring you back tomorrow, all right? And all three of them looked at her hopefully. All right, said Winnie, for she decided there wasn't any choice. She would have to go. They would probably make her go anyway, no matter what she said. But she felt there was nothing to be afraid of. Not really, for they seemed gentle, and in a strange way, childlike. They made her feel old, and the way they spoke to her, the way they looked at her, made her feel special, important. It was a warm, spreading feeling, entirely new. She liked it, and in spite of their story, she liked them too, especially Jessie. Okay, so think back. Winnie just heard this little story. She was a little shocked, but she seems to be okay with the Tucks just kind of like taking her under their wing and telling her, well, hey, you know, we still have to go talk to Angus about this, you know. So she seems okay with the whole thing, and it looks like her little crush on Jessie is still there. We're towards the top of page 23 right now. But it was Miles who took her hand and said, it's really fine to have you along, even if it's only for a day or two. Then Jessie gave a great whoop and leapt into the stream, splashing mightily. What'd you bring for breakfast, Ma? He cried. We can eat on the way, can't we? I'm starving. So with the sun riding high on the sky, they started off again, noisy in the August stillness, eating bread and cheese. Jessie sang funny old songs in a loud voice and swung like a monkey from the branches of trees. showing off shamelessly for Winnie, calling to her, "Hey, Winnie Foster, watch me, and look what I can do." And Winnie, laughing at him, lost the last of her alarm. They were friends, her friends. She was running away after all, but she was not alone, closing the gate on her oldest fears as she had closed the gate of her own fenced yard. She discovered the wings she'd always wished she'd had. And all at once, she was elated. Where were the terrors she'd been told she should expect? She could not recognize them anywhere. The sweet earth opened out its wide four corners to her like the petals of a flower ready to be picked. Wow, that was some figurative language right there. If you type in what form of figurative language that is, I'm going to read it again, but if you type that into Shobi, then I'll give you some extra points. I'm going to read it again. She was running away after all, but she was not alone. Closing the gate on her oldest fears as she had closed the gate to her old front yard, she discovered the wings she'd always wished she had. And all at once she was elated. Okay. Where were the terrors she'd been told she should expect? She could not recognize them anywhere. Okay, this is the part that has the figurative language. See if you can recognize it. The sweet earth opened out its wide four corners to her like the petals of a flower ready to be picked, and it shimmered with light and possibility till she was dizzy with it. Okay, if you can put into Shobi what kind of figurative language that is, I'll give you some extra points on your next quiz that we have. So your chapters 4 through 8 quiz. Okay, so we're towards the bottom of page 23. Her mother's voice, the feel of home, receded for the moment, and her thoughts turned forward. Why, she too might live forever in this remarkable world. She was only just discovering the story of the spring. It might be true. So that, when she was not rolling around on the back of the fat old horse, by choice this time, she ran shouting down the road, her arms flung out, making more noise than anybody. It was so good, in fact, that through it all, not one of them noticed that the man they had just passed on the road, the man in the yellow suit, had crept up to the bushes by the stream and heard it all, the whole fantastic story. Nor did they notice that he was following now, beside the road far behind, his mouth above the thin gray beard, turned ever so slightly toward a smile. Oh my gosh. Okay, so that is a shocker. I don't know if you caught it, but that man in the yellow suit that Winnie chose not to talk to a couple chapters ago when they took her on the horse, he was spying the entire time. Oh my gosh. That is craziness. So, this is the activity that I want you to do now before you start your quiz. Okay, I don't want you to do any activity yet. I want you to go ahead. You need to take your quiz for chapters 4 through 8. Remember, you can use your book, but don't depend heavily on this book because starting in the next few chapters, I'm not going to let you use your book because I've seen too many of you just reading the whole chapter again, and that's not the point. You need to know these answers and just be having to check back for details. So don't get used to being able to use this book when you're taking your chapter quizzes, okay? And just kind of be simmering on the fact that the man in the yellow suit was listening this whole time, okay? I want you to be thinking about what he might do with this information, and why he even cares. How did he know to follow them? You know, what made them special? So be thinking about that as you're taking your quiz.